Hello and welcome to AFM 451. The objective of this video is to clarify the strategic rationale for testing controls and to explain when reliance on controls is justified from an audit perspective. Let's get started. The starting point is always understanding the internal controls. We begin by evaluating the design of controls and determining whether they have been implemented appropriately. Design asks whether the control, if operating as described, would have prevented or detected material misstatements. Basically, would it have served its purpose? Implementation, on the other hand, asks whether the control actually exists and is in use. Without both, reliance is not even on the table. Once that understanding is documented, the key strategic question emerges. Do we intend to rely on controls? This is not a compliance exercise. It is a decision about audit strategy. If the answer is no, the control risk is set to maximum and the audit proceeds directly to a substantive testing approach. Substantive procedures are expanded because no reliance will be placed on the client's control environment as a whole. Suppose the answer is yes, the strategy now shifts. Reliance requires evidence. We must plan and perform these tests of controls to determine whether they operate effectively throughout the relevant period. Testing controls is therefore conditional. It is performed when we believe that adequate controls could meaningfully reduce substantive work and overall detection risk. After performing the control tests, we compare the achieved level of risk to the level we originally had planned for. If the testing reveals that controls are not operating as expected, the achieved control risk exceeds the planned level, in which case we would revise the planned level of substantive procedures upwards. More substantive testing basically is required because the reliance is no longer justified. If the testing confirms that controls are operating effectively, the achieved control risk now aligns with what we had planned for. In this situation, reliance is now supported and the planned reduction in substantive procedures can proceed. The level of control risk is documented and substantive procedures are adjusted accordingly. Suppose a company uses an automated three-way matching control in their accounts payable, linking the purchase order, the receiving reports, and the vendor invoices. If the design and implementation appears sound, reliance may be contemplated. Test of controls would examine whether the system consistently blocks unmatched invoices and whether overrides are properly authorized. If the testing confirms consistent operation, substantive testing of accounts payables may be reduced because the risk of unrecorded or inaccurate liabilities have been mitigated at the control level. If, however, testing reveals that there are frequent overrides without any supervisory review, reliance now collapses. Control risk must be reassessed at a higher level, and substantive procedures such as expanded search for unrecorded liabilities must be increased to compensate. Therefore, testing controls is not about confirming that management follows policy. It's about deciding whether audit can incorporate the client's control system into our risk response. It is a strategic gatekeeper. When controls are adequate, audits become more targeted and efficient. When they're not, substantive procedures expand to preserve audit assurance. Control testing sits at the intersection of risk assessment and audit execution. The decision to rely, the testing performed, and the resulting calibration of substantive procedures all reflect only one objective: maintaining the audit risk at an acceptably low level while allocating resources intelligently and efficiently. Thanks for following along. Take care, stay safe, and bye for now.